we can create our own reality. If we believe it to be true and we believe that we can do it, then we can manifest it. So that was something that is so vital to our journey and where we are now is because everything we're doing now, we envisioned already
Yeah.
3-4 years ago. We sat down, we wrote, our affirmations. We said, this is what we want. We are traveling the world, working with the most exclusive properties.
I mean, I have notebooks that it says like, I'm a traveler, I'm a luxury traveler, all this stuff. I get paid to travel the world.
Yeah.
Like I have them with dates and everything. And it's not something that we talk about a lot just because different people have different beliefs. And it's hard to just tell somebody, oh, you could create your reality if they don't like their reality. So it's very difficult, but it's something that truly like changed our life completely.
Just reprogramming our minds to elevate and be forward thinkers, and also know that we control everything that we consume, everything that we're doing.
How do you navigate change? It's a question we think about often, and one that today's world expects us to be comfortable with. The challenge, however, is where do you begin, and how do you develop the mindset and skill set to be successful? Welcome, everyone, to the Sprint to Success with Design Thinking podcast. I'm your host, Saba Kidwai. Join me each week as I share the stories and strategies from the world's leading researchers and practitioners about why they believe the answer lies in practicing design thinking. A few years ago, I had the pleasure of hearing Dallas Clayton speak. He shared a story about a time that he was visiting a kindergarten class, where the teacher asked the children, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" The first few shared traditional answers. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a nurse. I want to be a teacher. But then one child said, I want to build a time machine so that when I grow up, I can visit the dinosaurs. To which all of a sudden there was noise in the classroom and the children started saying, but I didn't know we could do that. I want to change my mind. That inspired Dallas to write a poem, and I want to share a few lines with you. He writes, instead they dream of furniture, of buying a new hat, of owning matching silverware. Could you imagine that? Yes, there are places in the world where dreams are almost dead. So please, my child, do keep in mind before you go to bed. To dream a dream as big could ever dream to be. Then dream a dream 10 times as big as that one dream you see. Today's guests, luxury travel content creators Jeremy Austin and Angie Villa, dared to dream a dream 10 times as big. And today they're here with us to share how they began this journey 4 years ago when they identified the values and priorities that they wanted to guide their lives. They tossed out their non-essential materialistic possessions and set out to shape their destiny. You'll hear today how they've nurtured their mindsets, to how they've experimented with ideas to reach where they are today. If you've ever wondered, is it too late for me to get started? They'll share today what it takes to move from idea to action. They'll share stories, strategies, and tips on how you can begin to shape your destiny. But first, join me in congratulating them on their engagement. I begin by asking Jeremy and Angie, if you knew then what you know now, what would you tell your younger selves?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, and thank you. It's crazy because it feels like it was just yesterday, but it's also been already 3 or 4 months since the engagement.
Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Time flies. It's really beautiful to be able to sort of like watch your journey and have you guys share that story online. And, one of the things I would love to start off with before we get into your story is if you knew growing up what you know now, what would you tell your younger self?
One thing would be have the fun that you had when you were young, and also even have more fun. Don't be afraid to kind of put this pressure on yourself, because even thinking back when I was 17, 18, there was like a pressure. What am I going to do with my life? Who am I going to be? I have to make my parents proud. I have to become successful. I have to go to college. There's so many things that I had to do, right? But honestly, I would tell myself to just kind of be in the moment more. You're young. You can make mistakes. You can try new things. You're learning about yourself and who you are. And at that age, even at 18, 19, you really don't know your path yet. So don't put the pressure on yourself. Allow things to kind of flow and enjoy that moment. But also, monitor who you look up to, how you spend your time, because there's so many, things back then that I could have done to excel more and develop myself in other ways um, that I didn't do. So there's two kind of
Yeah.
dynamics, but definitely, have more fun, be young, be free-minded, open-minded, but also, get together with a nice group of friends or let's say a mentor. Even at that age, I wish I would have had a mentor at 17, 18 that could show me more and help me develop.
For me, it would be have less fun. And really, I wish I would have done a lot more. I was in a lot of sports. I did basketball, I did track, but even then, I wish I would have done a whole lot more because once I was able to work 15, 16, that's all I did. I stopped doing basketball, I stopped doing track, and then all I thought about was get out of school and then just go straight to work and so on. So I wish I would have just it's like forever we're gonna work from now on. So when I was in high school, I just wish I would have focused more on just bettering myself and growing in different ways and different things, writing, reading,
It's
all
very
this other
true.
stuff that I could have done.
One theme that echoes throughout all the episodes so far on the podcast is the importance of curiosity. From Walt Disney to Albert Einstein, everyone agrees curiosity is the foundation and fuel for discovery. As Jeremy and Angie share, it's easy to get caught up in the pressure that life presents at an early age about all the things that we're quote unquote supposed to do. However, as Seth Godin and so many others remind us, the traditional narrative of going to school to get good grades, to get into a college, is dead. In fact, many graduates only do so to have discovered 2 decades later that they never really stopped to pause and think about what it is that they truly wanted to do in life that would bring them joy and fulfillment. Jeremy and Angie live a life at the intersection of passion and purpose. I asked them to revisit their early years with us to explore how their curiosity and experiences led them to where they are today.
Well, when I was 18, my parents actually told me we're moving back to Colombia. Yeah. What are you going to do? Are you going to stay in Colorado or are you going to move to Colombia with us? And when I heard that, I said, I'm going to Miami.
Mhm.
So at that age, I packed 2 bags. I really didn't know anybody here. I knew 0 people here. I looked up online somewhere where I could rent a room. I found this lady with her kid and I rented her room for $500 a month and I got my 2 bags and I moved to Miami. So I was like in a very transitional stage of life. And I'm so glad that I did that because if I would have stayed in Colorado, obviously my life would be completely different than what it is now. I had a lot of different types of influence when I was there, but when I got to move to Miami, it was starting from zero. I didn't know anybody. I barely knew the area, but it just helped me just develop my own self and really just know that yeah, I was independent enough to do that. It was a blast. I loved it.
So at 18, back then I used to cut hair, so I was a barber. So I started cutting hair when I was maybe 12 or 13, honestly. So I was already working in the shop. I kind of, I stopped doing sports and everything. And I just said, let me make money and work in the shop. So I was doing that, but then I also, I had got into college. So at 18, I went off to college. I was living in a dorm. And honestly, I didn't even have a major yet. So I was just on campus, right? So I was in that category of like, what's your major? Oh, I'm trying to decide,
Finding myself.
finding myself, let's say. But it was truly, it was a great experience, but it was also, in a sense, it was kind of a waste because I really didn't have a passion for anything that I was going to school for, like it didn't wake me up in the morning and give me that burning fire. And so naturally, I'm more of a creative. So I like to be creative. I like to use my mind to create in any way, shape, or form. So it wasn't the career opportunity, but like I mentioned before, it was just something safe. I was doing that safe path.
Yeah.
I was making my family proud. And the fact that I even got into college, I was the first one within my immediate family to be going off to a university. And so that was a great feeling. And I felt like I was doing the right thing. But ultimately, I'm very thankful that my parents they're not the type to pressure me, or they believe in me with whatever decision I chose to do. So I told them I didn't want to be in college anymore. I thought that wasn't going to be of value to me. And they said, sure, whatever it is you want to pursue, we stand behind you. So I had that affirmation from them. So that helped me, you know. I think even though it was slightly, let's say, a waste of time, it was still a gain on knowledge and experience that helped shape me to show me that I should only do what I'm passionate about. So I got that message early, and I think that was great.
It started with a vision. Hearing Jeremy and Angie share that reminded me of Simon Sinek's Start With Why. People don't buy what you do, he says, they buy why you do it. And what you do simply proves why you believe what you believe. Jeremy and Angie started with a deep why, a desire to shape their own destiny by creating inspiring content to share with the world. And in showcasing their work through their portfolio and their emphasis on building authentic relationships, it didn't take long for them to have others share in their vision and their why as well. I asked Jeremy and Angie to flash forward and to tell us how they went from exploring life after high school to becoming the world's most sought-after luxury travel content creators for the world's most coveted brands, such as the Four Seasons, the Aman Hotels, St. Regis, and so many others.
Well, when we met, I always loved traveling. Obviously, moving from Colombia and moving to all these new places, I already loved traveling. So when we got together, I believe maybe 5 months, my birthday was coming up. So I told Jeremy, I was like, every time on my birthday, I always have to go somewhere new. Like, that's just my rule. That's like the one time that I take the trip. So he's like, okay, let's do it. And so we saved up and we went to Dominican Republic. And Jeremy absolutely fell in love with traveling. He loved it. I mean, what isn't there to love? So we decided that from now on, we were going to continue to do that. So we started saving up. We didn't go out to eat. We didn't party. We didn't do anything. We would just save up all our money so we could travel.
Yeah, and cut out those things that weren't really of importance to us, like the fancy stuff or, you know, splurging on things. So all that money was put into travel. You know, we would pay for our own trips. So in the beginning, we would stay like 4 nights in like, you know, some kind of decent, not trashy, but, you know, like an affordable location. Cheap. And then 1 night in a very nice, fancy one. And then that one night we would just go crazy shooting tons of content, make it look like we stayed there for like a week, have this kind of small little portfolio and build that way. So we did that a few times where we kind of like, I guess, fake it if you make it, if you will. But we had a vision. So our vision was to do this for a year. And then from there progress, maybe we can start reaching out to hotels and resorts and brands, seeing if they wanted to work with us. So after about 6 or 7 months of doing that, we did a trip to the Dominican Republic. Then we did a Thailand trip. And after that, it started kind of taking off. And we started to build a following a little bit. And from there, we said, you know what? This next big trip, it was a trip to the Seychelles and to the Maldives. If this trip takes off and we can really do something powerful here, then we'll make this our focus and we'll go all in. So we did the trip. It went extremely well. We gained like a bigger audience. We had amazing content, and we actually got our first like paid, one of the architects that designed one of the resorts reached out to us and wanted to buy like our photos. So we said, whoa, we're on this trip. We're making money while we're on it. Like, we have something here. So then that's when we started to pursue.
And it was all about this trip. If this trip didn't go well for us, we were going to not give up, but we were just going to stop trying to pursue this social media travel aspect.
Yeah.
But everything just aligned for us so perfectly that we were like, oh my gosh, so maybe this is it. You know, maybe we can continue to do this.
Perhaps the one thing more beautiful than the content that Jeremy and Angie share is how they inspire one another. We've talked a lot on the podcast about how design thinking begins with empathy. And oftentimes, when we think of empathy, we think about others. Jeremy and Angie highlight for us why it's important to sometimes lean inward and have empathy with ourselves, our wants, our needs, our motivations, our challenges, and our goals. One of the most important aspects of design is identifying your values, and you can only truly do this when you're self-aware. In a world where everyone is competing for our attention, our values allow us to make decisions about what we're going to prioritize, such as what we say yes and no to, who we associate with, and so much more. In listening to Jeremy and Angie, I'm reminded of how they are an example of what Seth Godin shares. Seth says, the internet shines a light on your projects. The only way to prove that you are indispensable, someone worth recruiting, moving to the top of the pile and hiring, is to show, not tell. Projects are the new resume, he says. If your Google search isn't what you need it to be, then change it. Change it through your actions and generosity. Change it by so over-delivering that people post about you, invite you on a podcast. Change it by creating a blog that is so insightful about your area of expertise that others refer to it. This investment in your portfolio and your brand pays dividends for years to come. Both Jeremy and Angie are incredibly humble, and while they might like us to believe that the stars just aligned, one look at their Instagram profiles, their website, and the stories that they so generously share, it's evident of the hard work that they put in behind the scenes. On the internet, we often see the finished product. I asked Jeremy and Angie to take us behind the scenes and tell us all the things we don't see.
Well, there's a lot. And even to this day, we still, like, whenever we're working, we really work. I know it makes seem like we're at the pool because that's what we showcase. So I can't blame people to think that we're just hanging out by the pool all day. But we really do a lot of work from sunrise to sunset or beyond if we're in a beautiful location where the stars just come out and everything aligns. So it's a really like nonstop job. It's not really a 9 to 5 and we're done. It's all day long.
Yeah, so like she said, for us, it's like, it's nonstop. It's all hours of the day. I mean, when we started, even then, we chose to take a different route because at that moment, there wasn't too many, travel influencers, especially within the luxury space. So then we said, what can we do that's different? So we decided to take the priority of shooting resort video productions and these high quality type of videos showcasing the resorts. And then we also chose to not so much for us to be the focus. We wanted to be in the images, but just kind of be there where it can feel like it's anyone and they can envision themselves. So that was the lane we took. Once we really got into it after that big trip that I mentioned, we decided that the next year we would do a bunch of free work for a lot of these properties. So we worked with some big names, the St. Regis, the Four Seasons, a lot of these big brands that we still work with today and have built a great relationship with. In the beginning, we did free work for them. So we shot video productions and we gave them tons of images and they never paid for it.
And what's funny is they never asked for it either.
And they never asked for it.
We would do it because we knew that this was going to be our portfolio to show in the future. Exactly. We went in with that mindset that I know we're not going to get paid and we're just going to be working, but it's going to help us at the end.
Yeah, it's building our portfolio and then we're able to leverage that portfolio to then get more paid jobs in the future. So we essentially, we put together maybe like 10 properties that we did for free and we made it seem bigger than what it was. But it was also a time where no one else was doing that. So we kind of stood out for other properties. They were starting to inquire and they wanted to bring us in. And, then at that time we started to develop, okay, what's our price? $500. That was like our going rate. Then we got to 1,000, then we got to 2,000. Then it just continued to rise and you start to learn because it's such a new niche that it's hard for people to understand it. How much should I pay you? I don't know. Oh, but you worked with Four Seasons, you worked with One and Only. Okay, so they must be approved and they must have a good track record. So now we can dictate the market as far as our pricing. And then from there, once we started growing, getting bigger numbers and learning and developing our style and having even higher quality gear, then our prices continue to raise. And it's been a great transition, but we also have to stay on top of ourselves because we're kind of in our own lane, but we also need to innovate and find ways to separate ourselves now that there's so many more in this space.
Talking about that, what's funny is that now Reels came out, TikTok came out,
Instagram
and there is this 15-second clip that now everybody's doing. And what's really funny is that when we did that in our big trip, that's what really helped us grow. We were already doing this little 15-second clips, pull away with the drone and all this stuff. And now I'm like, oh my gosh. So we even have all this old content that we're posting now because now Reels is popular. So we're like, oh, that's great because all we have is 15 to 20-second clips.
Jeremy and Angie highlight one of the reasons design thinking can help us thrive as we navigate change. It helps us reframe challenges as opportunities by asking, how might we? It helps us, as they shared, identify gaps that we can design for. This is an important lesson to learn because as we scroll our feeds, it can often seem as if every market is saturated. They share another key finding that also emerged from my research with Design 39, that the key to navigating change is understanding your unique superpower, your unique value that you bring. What are you energized by? This comes from understanding our strengths and the ongoing practice of becoming more self-aware. Throughout their stories, they highlight so many skills, from self-awareness to the use of drones and video editing to using social media to build an audience and grow a business. We can add all of these to the growing list of things that we don't learn in school, yet are often necessary to thrive in today's world. I asked Jeremy and Angie to share how they continue to learn and refine their practice.
I mean, for that was something where the best way to learn, honestly, is to be in the field, to be practicing, to be shooting. Like our style from the first year to the second year was not completely different, but it changed, dramatically because we got more familiar with the settings, or how should our camera, focus be, or the white balance, or this or that. So you learn those little details. But in the beginning, it started with just, taking honestly what we could from others, or let's say YouTube, or a lot of it is on YouTube. YouTube University, but most of it was just being out, trying ourselves, shooting, getting down the basics, right? Because there's pretty much a basic set to photography where you need to know the main things of shutter speed, aperture, ISO. So once we kind of got familiar with that, then we just did it a lot. I mean, we did like, let's say 12 to 15 trips a year, or maybe 10 to 12, I'm sorry. But we would do, let's say, 50 hotels in 1 year. So we were doing a lot of campaigns. And if you go on our YouTube and you look at our first video ever for a property compared to now, you see the progression. You see like, okay, the 10th video looks a little better. The 12th, okay, now they got, a little bit better. And then you see the transition. So it was something that happened over time and with practice and doing it. You can watch a million videos you want on YouTube, but you need to practice. You need to be out in the field, whether that's in your neighborhood, just shooting trees and birds or whatever it is, getting familiar with those things, because you can have the best gear in the world, but if you don't know how to use it, it doesn't matter. And that's kind of the approach we had. We didn't go too crazy in the beginning as far as like our gear and buying all this fancy stuff. We kept it kind of simple, and we learned, progressed, and then as you go, you can start to elevate your gear and invest more in your quality.
Learning by doing. This definitely isn't a new idea, but it's one that's failed to scale in the face of our industrial model of education. From John Dewey to Eric Brynjolfsson and so many others, everyone agrees there is no more powerful way to learn than to practice by doing. Jeremy and Angie also identify that when beginning your learning journey, it's not about the tool, it's about your investment in practicing how to use the tool. They believe so deeply in this idea that later this year, they're going to be hosting their first creator retreat, an in-person experience where you can learn firsthand from Jeremy and Angie about everything from shooting and editing to building a media kit to how to pitch your portfolio. And if you're thinking this is something that's only for travel influencers, they correct us. This is for anybody in any industry that wants to shape their destiny and carve out their own unique pathway. This is where, again, they highlight the importance of writing out your goals, your dreams, and your values. 4 years ago, they were journaling about being paid to travel the world. Today, they're living that dream, and they want you to live your dream as well. I asked Jeremy and Angie who they learned from and what books they would recommend to us. Their answers are ones that honestly I hadn't heard before, and I'll be linking them for you in the show notes because I know I was in a rush to order them.
One for us that's big, and it's more of a spiritual way and something that, it affects all of our aspects, whether it's creativity or, shooting or just personal development. Someone by the name of Stuart Wilde, he was, I guess you can say it's more of like a spiritual type of teacher, or, kind of falls into the category of like, not a Tony Robbins, but someone a little bit more on the spiritual side. So that was someone that impacted our life tremendously
Uh-huh.
because he gave us so much of the values of manifestation, and we can create our own reality if we believe it to be true and we believe that we can do it, then we can manifest it. So that was something that is so vital to our journey, and where we are now is because everything we're doing now we envisioned already
Yeah.
3 4 years ago. We sat down, we wrote our affirmations. We said this is what we want. We want to be able, we are traveling the world and working with the most exclusive
I
properties.
mean, I have notebooks that it says like I'm a traveler, I'm a luxury traveler, all this stuff. I get paid to travel the world.
Yeah.
Like I have them with dates and everything, and it's not something that we talk about a lot, just because different people have different beliefs, and it's hard to just tell somebody, oh, you could create your reality if they don't like their reality. So it's very difficult, but it's something that truly like changed our life completely.
Just
And
reprogramming our minds to elevate and be forward thinkers, and also know that we control everything that we consume, everything that we're doing is controlling our reality. So that was something big for us.
yeah.
Also, as far as influencers, I wouldn't say there's too many like in the space. We have some friends that are also big creators that we share, let's say, inspiration with, but a lot of it comes more from teachers and healers and spiritual, people in that realm, like the Stuart Wilds, the Les Brown, the Tom Bilyeu. Like we're deep in that space. So I think we like to kind of empower ourselves in that way and then apply it to our niche.
If you believe it, it can be true. This is one of those things that you don't believe till you experience, yet you can't experience till you believe. Manifesting your reality, believing in what's possible, attracts that energy. Researcher Eric Brynjolfsson said the same as well. We shape our destiny. But reprogramming our mind to unlearn and relearn is perhaps one of the greatest benefits of practicing design thinking. As Alvin Toffler shares, the illiterate of the 21st century are not those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. What I enjoy most about my conversation with Jeremy and Angie is their deep level of self-awareness, an understanding of what their strengths are and what makes them unique, allowing them to embrace an abundance mindset instead of a scarcity mindset. They don't feel as if they're competing with others. They're simply living their strengths. This is a message they share frequently in their content. One particular post that left a permanent mark on my thinking was one where Angie shared the importance of creating a life resume. I asked her to share more about this concept and how we can go about creating one too.
It's so crazy because there's moments in my life where I can get into spirituality and I'll listen to it because I'm home. And it's just like all these ideas and things that you never think about start coming in. And that's one thing that I try to do while I'm traveling, because when I'm traveling, you don't have this time to just sit around and listen to something while you're cleaning the house, and just your time is consumed differently.
Yeah.
So when I'm home, I really get to just sit down and just open my mind to all these different things, and all these things start coming in. And I love that, like the resume, because we're so worried about, oh, what we're doing at work, being the best at work, but we never like really think about even our life, like ourselves, just even being an influencer, not in social media, but around your friends, wanting them to be better, motivating them to be better. And it changes so much, like your life just changes when you realize how much effect you have with the people around you at all, how much they have on you and how much you have on them.
Yeah, especially because we have so many people that reach out to us that we would never have known that we impacted their life in some way if they didn't tell us.
Yeah.
We just think of, okay, we we travel and people follow us and they support us and we provide inspiration, but sometimes you get some, amazing messages from them, like, wow, it's because of you I went to this place, and then and that place, me and my wife had the best trip ever, and that's someone's life that you affected forever. And that could have been like the moment that he decided to, get engaged, or you never know what it is. So when we start to analyze that, we realize that we really have to be more conscious of how we, portray ourselves on our page, only the truth that we speak, and then also we have an opportunity of that our parents and people before that wish they could have had, to live life on our terms, to live the way we want to live and create that opportunity. The fact that we can do what we do is such a gift. So we have to be grateful for that. And that has to be reflective in how we, go about our day, how we treat others. So all across the board, we try to be, an example of not only the best version of ourselves, but how can we really elevate ourselves to have a deeper message, not just than travel, because we don't want to be known as like a luxury traveler. Oh, they stay at the best places. What's the best resort I can go to? Oh my God, great, thanks. No, like we want to kind of provide more inspiration, more love, more motivation for others. Then,
which is difficult to just do that on social media. It's so much more when you're like with someone just
person,
talking
and sharing that energy.
Yeah.
They can feel it. But on Instagram, it's hard to portray that. So that's why we're always trying to speak that as much as we can.
We never know who's listening, watching, and being impacted by the content that we share. This is no different for Jeremy and Angie. It's a great reminder for all of us to say thank you to those whose content we read, and to share stories of impact with creators. I share with Jeremy and Angie how their content inspired one of my most memorable moments of 2020, allowing me to turn one of the worst challenges the world unleashed into an opportunity. Jeremy and Angie shared travel stories during the summer of 2020, and watching them travel inspired me to learn more about if it was possible for me to do so safely as well. After doing some research, I was inspired by them to spend a few months in fall with my sister, her husband, and my 2-year-old nephew, who live in London. I was even able to travel to Italy and Turkey for a few weeks. But the courage to do this really was sparked by the stories that Jeremy and Angie had so generously shared. Their stories made possible to see a different point of view that wasn't being presented in the traditional media outlets. I thank them for their stories, and they go on to share the importance of not living a life driven by fear. And they also share what it was like to be one of the few American influencers able to travel.
Yeah.
And Europe was amazing, right? When we were there, it was like nothing was happening, and it was so good. It was so good to get away from this energy of don't go outside, period. And then you're out there and you're just, this feels so good.
And the misconception, Americans say, oh, it's this. And then while you're in Italy, they're saying,
like,
oh
amazing.
My God, it's terrible. But when you get there, it was
so
fine.
Good.
It felt like we had no risk. People were out enjoying themselves, laughing, smiling. At the end of the day, your life is going to go on. You have to break free of that shell and be safe, but also know that you have a vision, you have goals. You can't sit around and just wait and rely on someone else to dictate your future. You have to take charge. You have to control. And that was a great trip for us. We got out right in the right time. We were able to maximize, and we were pretty much the only American influencers
definitely the only
traveling in Europe in that time frame. So we had so many eyeballs on our accounts. We were able to grow crazy. We had some good opportunities that came from it. And honestly, that trip is what was able to help us transition to the Creator Retreat becoming a reality, because that was something that we were thinking of already doing. But once we got to Greece, we were able to, really nail it down and get it set. So because of that, we have the Creator Retreat being birthed.
Listening to Jeremy and Angie, I'm reminded of another challenge that Erik Brynjolfsson shared on the last episode of this podcast. And that's how false news spreads and our responsibility in seeking out the truth. Jeremy and Angie share how their travel experience in 2020 opened up new opportunities and the importance of not letting fear drive decisions. Their confidence in launching a retreat exemplifies the difference between those who hold a scarcity versus an abundance mindset. While it may look as if the travel influencer market is saturated, Jeremy and Angie say, really, there's only 5 to 10 people capturing content well. I asked them to share more about the Creator Retreat and why they believe the time is now for people to pursue their passion regardless of what industry they're in.
Well, first of all, it's not too late for anyone.
Yeah.
If you really think about, even within our space, let's say there was 500 amazing luxury travel influencers, but there's not. There's maybe less than 20 that you can really think of that do great work. And then when you say luxury travel, then it gets even smaller, maybe like 5 to 10. So if you think about that, there's so much opportunity. There's thousands of doctors, there's thousands of nurses, there's thousands of cops. There's still so much opportunity. So it's never too late. And also, everyone has their own unique gift. Everyone is great in their own way. So if you're only one of a kind, so it's never late for you to be you and share your passion and build that into a career, whatever that is. Right now, you can start your own business selling anything online and create your own Instagram account. And whatever it is you want to do, you can do it. So for us with the Creator Retreat, we had this vision to do something like this in Miami at first. We're based in Miami, so we thought of maybe doing something here, getting like a nice
conference
villa, do some type of creator conference. But then we thought about how can we bridge the gap and how can we do something even more unique. So a lot of our followers and our audience, they tell us all the time, oh, I wish I could do what you do. I wish I could travel to the places you travel to. So for us, doing the Creator Retreat is about bridging the gap, allowing them to experience some of the most exclusive places in the world that we get to experience, bringing them in, with us. And then on top of that, making it unique where it's hands-on. It's not just like some creator course online where you go on and you have these, videos you watch. We want it to be hands-on. We want it to be in exclusive destinations. This first one is in Greece. Maybe down the line we have other ones, Maldives, Spain. Like there's so many opportunities that we can do. And there are locations that otherwise would be thousands and thousands of dollars that we get at a rate that you just can't get otherwise. And then we create this whole entire experience where you're learning, you're experiencing the destination. If you want to bring someone, you can bring someone. You have fun, we connect, we'll have meditation, we'll have spiritual connection, we'll have all of that in one. So I think it's very unique. And for us, it's something that we're extremely passionate about. We're now putting together the curriculum to make everything flow nicely and making sure that people get the value that we want them to get.
We believe in the in-person a lot. Like we love being able to explain everything in person, and then we actually get to go shoot in person, hands-on, be with them, because you could tell them, oh, set your camera to this and this, and then they go outside and it's completely blown out, and they're like, oh shoot, what do we do? So I feel like they're just going to get so much more knowledge than they would on a computer. Yeah. And then they get to experience these places. They get to stay there. Greece is like such a different, you already leave at such a high. So we just really want everybody to come in and not just get the knowledge of being able to, even though they're going to like walk out with this portfolio, the media kit, just be set and ready to go to any resort that they want to,
or anything they're doing. It's not only for people that travel. You have some people that
are fashion and that are different.
You have they're trainers, like they do physical fitness, but they love travel, so they want to combine the two. So we have kind of a nice diversity. We have people that are young. We have some people that are in their 40s, 50s. So it's crazy to see who's coming, but we want everyone to have an experience that they'll remember forever.
I mean, our goal is mostly just walking out confident and being happy with a great, mindset.
Set of tools that you can apply, and also knowing that you can do it. Sometimes people just need the push to know that they can do it, not just that they have to get best shots and they need to go to the best. Just know you can do it. You just have to get started.
A theme throughout this conversation is the reminder that you're one of a kind. I love how they make the analogy that we never hear people say there's so many doctors or lawyers or teachers or any other profession. So why do we do this when we think about online businesses? Time and again, they remind us it's never too late. This also brings us back full circle to an idea they shared earlier in the podcast about the importance of hands-on learning and the importance of building a portfolio. They highlight one of the most important qualities everyone agrees you need to thrive in today's world: creative confidence. Tim Brown even wrote a book on this. He says it's the ability to turn ideas into action. The more time I spend in Clubhouse, I realize Jeremy and Angie are right. What people need most today is the push to do something, to know that someone believes in them, to be seen and to be heard. As an educator, it makes me wonder what impact our grading system has had on the mindsets of adults. That constant being told you're a certain number, you're good at this, you're not good at that, when in reality, our current grading system doesn't really reflect our true qualities or our potential. That's definitely a topic I want to bring somebody on to talk about in a future episode. But for now, and speaking of traveling to Greece for the Creative Retreat, and with so many people having travel top of mind this summer, I asked Jeremy and Angie to share their outlook on the future of travel. Are they optimistic about what it will look like?
I mean, we're very optimistic. We're also I guess you could say we're overly optimistic in some ways, because we would recommend, getting out when you can get out.
Especially right now, while like everything is so much cheaper, the hotels are cheaper, the flights are cheaper,
the airports are
and
less
literally
crowded.
there's like nobody around. In the future, looking as have we were so restricted, now people are like, man, I should have traveled when I could have, So now I feel like people are gonna want to travel even more.
Yeah.
But right now, as we still are a little on the fence about it, I feel like definitely take a flight somewhere, even if it's close to home. You don't have to go and travel across the world, but just somewhere close and have a great time, because once you get out there, you kind of forget that there's anything going on.
You have to continue to grow, and for me, the best way to grow and the best way to learn is through travel. Like, I feel like these past 5 years, we have grown so much as people and individuals that I can't picture my life without traveling somewhere throughout the years, especially places that are foreign to me, that I might not be as comfortable. When you get out of your comfort zone, you uncover new levels of yourself that you didn't know were there. So for us, being in Croatia in the middle of the pandemic and being able to experience this place with pretty much no tourists around. There were some parts of Croatia and Italy that we went to that you would never see it this way, because it's so empty and there's pretty much only locals there. So that type of experience is literally an experience you can never have unless there's a pandemic going on.
And the fun part is that everybody was so excited to see you. I mean, especially because we were American. Yeah. But everybody's like, oh my gosh, Americans, we miss you, blah, blah. And everybody was just...
Yeah, they were very happy.
Yeah.
And the thing is, some locations, they have different restrictions. And of course, do it properly. Make sure you have your test or whatever is required of you. But get out. I mean, there should be nothing holding you back. When you stay in and when you stay enclosed, you create more fear and more worry, and then you increase your chances of getting sick or whatever it is. So you need to be out, you need to live, and just do it smartly. Maybe go to some locations that are a little bit more, exclusive. Maybe, some islands or some places that are not as congested. You're not going to go to the middle of Bangkok, but maybe you go somewhere a little bit more open. Mexico's a great option. We were there recently, especially the Nayarit area. And it feels like you're, millions of miles away, but really you're just 2-hour flight from, Miami or whatever it is. So find some locations that are close to you, that are accepting travelers. And then also, what do you want to go for? Do you want to go sustainability? Do you want to go, what's your approach with travel? And then just make it happen. We recommend getting out there, seeing the world. No matter what condition it is, we're always going to be traveling.
Yeah, I love that. I felt like it was a lesson in so many different areas, being out there. One, just your own growth, like you mentioned, getting over your own fear, but also really interesting to also see how different countries are adapting, giving you a bit more of like a global outlook on just how are people responding? Like, what does that look like in different places with different people?
It's not usually what you see on the TV also, because they'll say, Italy is terrible, don't go. And then we went there and it was so calm and everyone was happy and loving. And then when you speak to the locals, they're saying, oh, America, it's terrible. And then you come to America and it's so there's always a misconception. So that's why you can't go off of other people's judgment. You have to go based on your own experience.
Throughout my conversation with Jeremy and Angie, you can sense the rapport they have with one another. Building a personal and professional life together is no easy task. Yet Jeremy and Angie seem to do this flawlessly. I asked them to highlight each other's superpowers and what they admire most about one another.
I have so many qualities that I admire from Jeremy. Jeremy's so creative. He's so patient. He's so kind. He's just beyond. I mean, if you got to know him, you'd just be like, man, he is amazing. He is such a great, great person that is hard not to love. And even everybody that knows Jeremy can only speak so highly of him.
She set a high bar, Jeremy. Your turn.
Set a high bar. Well, thank you so much. For me, it's Angie she brings a dynamic to our relationship and to our business that I was lacking. You know, she's such an organized person, and she brings so much organization and structure, which is, if you want to run a business, you can't just be creative and be here and you're in this space where you're just creating, and you need structure, you need organization, and Angie provides that for the business. You know, she takes care of the finances, she's on top of this, she's on top of that. And, that's not in order, the business just will be all over the place. So that's one of the biggest aspects. And then, she has this unconditional love, especially if she really loves you, she loves you all the way. There is no balance. There is no oh, I kind of like you, or, you're kind of cool. So she's very selective. And, I think that's a very valuable trait, because it makes it so much more genuine. There's not this kind of, oh, I don't know if we're really there yet. So from the beginning, it was, we fell in love, and it was quick, but it was hard love. It wasn't we're on the fence with each other, oh, do we go all in, or should, we're starting a business together and we're trying to build and travel and make money and earn a living. So there can't be any question, a lot of people how do you guys do it? I can't even be around my husband for, but when you have a business on the line, all of that, gets put to the back, because you have to be, upfront, you have to be truthful, you have to be authentic, and you have to know that there's a bigger vision. So even if you're mad at each other, or if there's an argument, we can't let it go into our business and affect our decision making. And are we going to, do this campaign? Are we going to be 100%? Are we going to provide them the value that we want? Oh no, we're in an argument or this. So we have to snap out of that very quickly and know that there's a bigger message. And also what has helped us has been our commitment to our goal. Not just having the vision, not having the, writing it down, but staying committed. Commitment kind of goes not talked about as much. When you're really committed to it, there is no other option. There is no other, plan B if this doesn't happen. We saw it as it's a plan A, and then there's a plan A. We have to make it happen.
Yeah.
If we don't make it happen, then we didn't execute. So what's the sense? It's either we're doing it to execute and make it happen, or we're falling short. So we keep that level of standard very high.
And it's amazing when you have a partner that has the same goals as you, and you both bring different traits to the table, like he said. It makes life just so much easier. And you just, when you have the same goal and you have the same vision, it just goes up. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. It's just really good. Or even if you have a friend that you guys are investing into something together, just your vibration into the universe can only give you what you're asking for.
Jeremy and Angie remind us that when we align in our vision, come together, and lead with our strengths, we can manifest the goals and dreams that we have for ourselves. Their story is an inspiring one, and if you're listening in and thinking, yes, I want to shape my destiny and manifest my dreams and goals, then here are some parting words of wisdom from Jeremy and Angie.
Yes, living your passion. That's the most important piece of advice. Figuring out what that passion is. You might not know what it is right now. Maybe it might take you some time, but don't be afraid to try different things. Each of us has a passion. Just because it's your passion doesn't mean, let's say, it's your purpose and that's what you have to do. Because you might have a passion in basketball, you have a passion in this, but there is something that you're amazing at and you have greatness in you, and you need to share that. Because if you do, It's not going to feel like you're working any day of your life. You're just sharing that purely from you. So do that. And then also understand the power of your imagination. You have an imagination. The ability that we have to imagine things that we want in our life is just an insane phenomenon itself, that you can sit right here, right now and imagine what I want my life to be like. That's crazy to even think about. So embrace the imagination and then harness that and build on your passion and do whatever you want. You don't have to settle. You don't have to be some doctor if that's not what you like, where your parents are forcing you. But also don't be naive to the knowledge that they have and the experience they have, and if they're trying to help you. So there's two sides of it, but live your passion and harness your imagination.
Take 20 minutes of whatever it is that you do love and do it, and become the best version of it. I'm around people that are so talented in so many ways. And I feel like my talent is organizing. I swear, I really love to organize. I love numbers. I love finance. And I felt like it was never enough. But now that I do it, I feel like this is what I love. And I have no problem organizing anybody's stuff. I love it. And that's like my gift to the world. If you need help with something and I can help you, I want to do it. And I felt like it was never enough, but I'm starting to get to the point of it that it is enough and it is good. And as I go along and I share with more people, I feel so good about it. So your gift doesn't have to be filming movies and doing all these videos. Your gift can be so simple, but when you start sharing it with people, you feel so good about it.
Yes. The takeaway should be, connect with yourself deeper. One of the most important things for us is every day we try to listen to, whether it's a podcast or, an inspirational video, something that empowers us, whether it's, like she said, 20 minutes, even if it's just 5 minutes, if you can listen to something empowering that can bring you inspiration each day, it will help recalibrate your mind, because you have so much things coming in that can be negative, or even if it's, social media, all you're doing is scrolling. And, there's nothing wrong with being on social media a lot if there's a reason for it, if that's part of your business. But if you're just all day scrolling and TikTok and this, and you're not getting any value from it, you want to find things each day that can bring value to your life. So find someone that you like, like I said, Les Brown, he's amazing. Stuart Wilde, some of these motivational people that can really empower your mind, because your mind is such a powerful tool and you need to work on that mind each day. If we didn't work on our mind every day, it doesn't matter what hotel we go to, what photo we take, none of that matters, because our mindset is what is fueling everything. Yeah. We're staying focused. We have a locked in vision. We empower each other. We meditate together. We do certain things that empower our mind each day. So if you can do that each day, I think that would be very powerful. Obviously, that's not about content creation, but I think it's even more important.
There is greatness within all of us. And to discover or to reinforce that greatness within you, I challenge you to take them up on their advice. Take 20 minutes today to imagine what could be and to explore what is your unique gift. It's your turn to join the conversation by sharing what you enjoyed or what questions you still have. In a world where time and attention are so valuable, thank you for choosing to listen and for being a part of our Sprint to Success with Design Thinking community.